Hi everybody, and welcome to our week number 3 Twitch live stream. And this is for my 55502 class where we are in week number 3, just to make sure you're in the right one. I do have 3 different classes going at the moment, so I do want to make sure that everyone who's here is supposed to be here. But can you all hear me and see me okay? Can someone let me know in the chat if everything is coming through loud and clear? It all looks good on my end, but just to double check before we jump in. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, great. Good. Okay, good. I'm glad. I thought I would sit outside today. It's like actually really nice out tonight. So perfect. I'm glad everything is coming through loud and clear. Let's go ahead and head over to Canvas together. And as I said, we are here. So we are in week number 3. Weeks 1 and 2 are in the books. They're behind us. And we're now in weeks 3 and 4. So everything from week 3 and 4 is due on Sunday. I almost said January. I was in the wrong part of the year. Sunday, July 6th. Okay, so everything from this week and next week, Sunday, July 6th. But before I move forward, I would like to go backward for just a moment and give you a little bit of feedback about what I saw from weeks 1 and 2. Of course, if you have any comments or questions throughout, feel free to put them in the chat. But a couple of things from the last 2 weeks. Overall, what I saw was a lot of really good stuff, right? The discussions looked really, really good. A lot of you got full points on the discussions or really close. I saw a lot of like 13, 14, 15 points. If you found that you missed a couple of points on one of the discussions, the biggest reasons were either not responding to a classmate, which is worth 2 points, that peer response, or just not quite giving me enough detail. So remember that if you lost like a point or two, try and give me a little bit more this week in the discussions. Remember, there's also that sample discussion and rubric if you'd like to see a little bit more of like what I'm looking for. But I tried to give each one of you feedback. If you did everything well, I said like nice job or great. But if you were missing a little bit or a little off in your response, I tried to note that in there. So just kind of a piece of global feedback. Don't forget the peer response, and don't forget to really elaborate and show off your knowledge and understanding of the materials. A lot of you did the extra credit, number 1 or 2 or both, which I think is fantastic. Those points are just going to add on to your grade and your scores, which will be a really wonderful thing to have in case you miss a couple of points on like a discussion or one of the exams or whatnot. Otherwise, the other thing that there was last week was exam number 1. And what I saw on that was also really good. There were a lot of very high scores on the exam. There were several people who got 100%. The average amount of time that people took was right around like about an hour, just a little bit over an hour. What that tells me is most of you were prepared, you studied, you were ready to go. And again, a lot of A's, which is also fantastic to see. So if you wish you had done a little bit better on the exam, a couple of suggestions, right? Probably the biggest one that I would suggest is if you didn't do the study guide, consider doing the study guide for exam number 2, right? Writing those terms out, kind of defining them, studying them. But most of you, as I said, did a great job. Hopefully you kind of have a good idea of how to prepare for the next one. What I would really encourage you to do is use it as a learning experience. And so if you wish you had done a little bit better, this is a great time to change things up. If you're happy, keep doing the same thing. But a lot of you should be kind of patting yourself on the back, feeling really good and happy. I saw a lot of great scores for the first 2 weeks. So nice job. Sorry, somebody asked, do we need to reply to a peer for the office clip? Yes. So for every single discussion, you're doing your response and a peer response. So it could be about the office part, or it could be about their suggestions for how they could apply this to their life in some way. It could be any part of the discussion, but yes, you will want to do that peer response for every single discussion. Okay, so with that, what we'll do is we'll move on. And as I said, we're in weeks 3 and 4 now. Since we're currently in week number 3, I'm going to focus on week 3 tonight. And then next week on Wednesday, when I meet with you, we'll talk about week number 4 and exam 2 and all that kind of stuff. But for this week, we are looking at the topics of consciousness and learning. And you're welcome. So consciousness and learning, chapters 5 and 6. Chapter 5, you'll be reading it in the book, right? Reading the lecture and watching the lecture video. Every single chapter, make sure you do those 3 things. So read through the lecture, watch the lecture video, and also read the chapter. Same thing for chapter 6 related to learning. And then there are 2 discussions this week, like always. The only thing that's a little different this week is there is a little 5-point self-assessment, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Otherwise, kind of a typical odd week for us. So let's look at discussion 5 really quickly together as it opens here. And as always, you'll have my instructions up here at the top, followed by my video. This one is all about dreams and consciousness. I do have a little dream article right here that you'll read. I would also really suggest, especially if you have a hard time remembering your dreams, to watch my little video. And I would suggest watching the little videos with each discussion, but this one I did go over some tips for remembering dreams, just in case it's something you tend to struggle with. But watch the video, you'll click on the link here and read that, and then you're going to select a dream that you had recently, and you're going to think about it from 2 different dream theories. You're going to look at describing the theory, and then also talking about how the theory connects to your dream and where it came from. Make sure that you also really describe the theory that you pick, show me that you understand it and can talk about it. And then finally, you'll also talk about why do you personally think that we dream. Okay, so a couple of different things. Don't forget to also reply to a classmate or a peer to get those 2 points as usual. For discussion number 6, oops, booted me down here. For discussion number 6, you're looking at the topic of learning and chapter 6. So again, you have my instructions, followed by my video, followed by the prompt. And for this one, as somebody just kind of asked about, right, we're looking at a clip from The Office. Someone said you're in the class that started this week. No, so the class that started this week, we had a recording. I sent out a message earlier today with a recorded video, and then we'll meet next week. All right, so yeah, this is for my 3-week class. So just try and always, or week number 3 that we're in class. So always just try and pay attention to the titles of the streams and the timing posted in Canvas. Sorry for the confusion. I have 3 sections going at the same time, so sorry about that. So again, don't forget to reply, and then also reply to a classmate. For this one, you're looking at the Office clip and how did Jim condition Dwight, and you're kind of using all that terminology, explaining the process. Identify the US, UR, CS, and CR in the clip, and then you're going to talk about how you could use this in your life, your personal, academic, or social life with classical conditioning. So really focus on that classical piece. If you find yourself using words like reinforcement or punishment, you're probably in the realm of operant conditioning. So really focus on this classical conditioning element and how could you potentially use this in your life, either on yourself or somebody else. And again, don't forget that 2-point peer response to get those points. So it's kind of easy 2 points to get, if you will. So those are the 2 big things for this week, discussion 5, discussion 6. As I mentioned, you'll have a couple of these little self-assessments, and my goal with these is to really get you to kind of reflect on where you're at right now. Are you happy with your progress? Do you want to change anything? And so with this one, our first self-assessment, this is worth 5 points. And please be honest. I'm not looking for you to say anything in particular, just an honest reflection. And you're going to consider your progress, grades, and approach to the class so far. Is there anything that you want to change? Is there anything that you're really happy with? You have as much time as you need on this. It's not a quiz, it's just a little survey, and it's completely anonymous in the sense that nobody else can see it other than me. So I guess I can see your responses, but nobody else. But please take the time to do this. It's 5 short questions worth 5 points, taking a time to kind of reflect, and again, use weeks 1 and 2 as a learning experience. So if you need to change anything up, now is a good time to do it. Other than that, that's kind of the majority of the stuff for this week, right? 2 chapters, 2 discussions, and a self-assessment. I have a couple of reminders for you, and then I will give you that extra credit question. Now that we've settled in, it's kind of short and sweet. These will typically be maybe 20 minutes or so at this point from here. So thank you for so many of you being on here live with me, or even watching it as a recording. So a couple of quick reminders. I typed this one out earlier, so I'm going to put it in the chat. If you haven't figured out the subscription piece of Twitch yet, really appreciate if you could take the time to do that. Again, this should be completely free for you if you follow the like Twitch Prime suggestions that I have on there for you. You can also sign up for Student Prime, which is kind of a cool benefit even outside of here. But if you have the chance to do that, I really appreciate it. It saves me an incredible amount of time. So thank you to those of you who've done that. Also, if you're watching this later as a recording, you can still do the extra credit question if you are subscribed. That's my only way of tracking your like attendance. So just a couple of reasons to figure it out. And selfishly, as I said, it saves me a lot of time as well. The other reminder, I'll put this here in the chat for you. I cannot believe that next week is July. Can you? That like this summer is going so fast. I need it. I need it to slow down. I love the fall, and we always decorate for the fall in like August, but I'm not ready yet. So let me put this here in the chat. Our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, July 2nd at 7 o'clock p.m. Okay, so next week, again, 7 o'clock, trying to stay with that Wednesday at 7. We hit this week and next week as well, so a little bit better than the last week or two. So we do have that next week. I'll go over week number 4, exam number 2, and all the materials for next week. The only other piece, let me copy and paste this here in the chat. Let me give you the Twitch extra credit question for tonight. This is the week number 4 Twitch extra credit question. So the question is to watch the Attack of the Quack clip, which I'll show you where it is in a minute, and you're going to identify the US, UR, CS, and CR. So you're just going to watch that clip and tell me what is the US, UR, CS, and CR. And hopefully you saw this clip already. It's in the lecture for this week. But if you go to Lecture on Learning, Chapter 6, it's on the very last page where it says Application. So here's a little clip. It's a little boy brushing his teeth, looking in the mirror. It's only like a minute and a half. So you'll watch this clip. You'll identify the US, UR, CS, and CR. And where you will answer that is under the extra credit for this week. Since we're in week number 3, you will click on optional Twitch extra credit number 3 right here. And then up at the top, you can click on Start Assignment. And then it'll bring up that box where you can type your response. Okay, so when you're done with that, you go ahead and hit submit. Little flames and confetti. I love that so many of you took advantage of the first 2 of these. I hope you keep doing it all the way through. It's worth like 16 points if you do all 8 of them, and that would definitely help with like a missed discussion or maybe a few points off an exam or discussion here or there. I think it's just going to be a nice little buffer and maybe make up for a couple of missed points here or there if you did lose them. But again, a lot of you are doing a beautiful job. We're chugging our way through. We're already 1/4 of the way through our class, like halfway through our summer. I hate to think about it. I went to Michael's today and they already had the like Spooky Town Village starting to get set up. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're flying by here. So that's kind of everything that I have for you for tonight. What I'll do is I'll hang out for a few minutes. If you do have any questions for me, I'd be happy to highlight anything or kind of go over anything a little bit more. Otherwise, I will hope to see you all next week on Wednesday at 7 for our next Twitch live stream. So thank you so much for those of you who joined me tonight live, and thank you for those of you watching this later. I'm going to put that here in the chat. Thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful week and that you're doing well, and I will hope to see you next week. I'm going to minimize my video, but I will hang out for a few minutes. If you have any questions for me, I would be more than happy to answer them. Thank you as well. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Enjoy the beautiful evening. Thank you as well. See you all next week. Have a great night. Thank you. You too. Have a wonderful week, wonderful evening. And I am still here. I'll hang out for a couple of minutes if any of you have any questions.